Good afternoon, respected dignitaries, dear parents and esteemed colleagues. I am Sara, student counselor for the foundational section. Let me first start off by introducing the Choice Wellbeing team. So may I have the team forward? This is our wellbeing team, our counseling team, both IB and CBSE. And it's a huge team. This was the vision of our visionary, our founder, JT, Jose Thomas. Can we give a round of applause for our sir? This shows how much sir values mental health and how much he values each student. And not just that, there'll be something that I'll be telling in the meantime. So this is our team. This is our team of totally 7 plus 8 plus 3. That's a huge team. So can we give a round of applause once again? As our founder, JT rightfully said, having 2 counselors for each section is a groundbreaking initiative in Kerala's education landscape. Extending this further, we are now opening individual and group counseling sessions for parents, making Choice Wellbeing a comprehensive support system. Today's session comes at an important time and aims to help you better understand and support your teenagers. So thank you, parents, for your participation. To formally commence this session, it is my great privilege to invite our esteemed principal, Ms. Rachel Ignatius, a remarkable leader whose compassion, dedication, and steadfast focus on students' well-being create a nurturing environment at Choice School to deliver the welcome address.
Thank you, Sarah. Good afternoon, dear parents. Thank you so much for being here. Good afternoon and a very warm welcome to Mr. Carson, Ms. Maria Nemeth. One person was not introduced, and let me call her. We have a person who heads the well-being and mental health team, Ms. Hannah Masood. Can we have you on stage, please? She is the person who heads the well-being team. You saw the rest of the team, and we have 2. Yeah. Can we have a loud round of applause for Ms. Hannah? We have 2 people in Tiruvalla and another 2 in Kozhikode too. So can you imagine the strength of our well-being team? Have you ever heard of so many counselors in any schools? We haven't. I don't think there's such a big well-being department in any schools. That's what we had an ICTRC training in the month of January, where the entire counseling training department was here to train the principals across the districts of Kerala. We had close to 100 principals, right, Hannah? So they were saying this is something unique for the entire country. And this is truly commendable. And it's only possible because of our visionary leader, Mr. Jose Thomas. And all thanks to him, we have this beautiful department in place. And initially, I know a lot of parents did have apprehensions as to why the children kept going to the counselors. Yes? Yes. Let's be honest about it. I'm sure now the taboo is slowly disappearing. They need somebody to go to. They need somebody to talk to. They need somebody to listen to. That is precisely why we have a well-being department. Now, all the more in the wake of the recent episodes that have happened. Not just them. We all need. That's why at least some of us are here. This well-being department is not just for the children, it's for all of us. Parents, teachers, all staff members, and especially for our children. Thank you so much for being here, and I welcome all of you to this first parent interactive session. This is only one. We aim and plan to have many, many more. Please be an active participant. Let's take away the stigma that is there when the minute you hear an interaction with a counselor or an interaction with, a counselor has been there, or my child went to see the counselor immediately. Is there something wrong with my child? Nothing. Let's remove that stigma. My child went to have a chat. He or she wanted somebody to talk to. Sometimes don't we feel we need to talk to somebody? As simple as that. So I'm glad the minute you got the circular, you all chose to come here. It simply means you care. Thank you for being here. And welcome to the session. And today's session, as it says, it's navigating teens. We've all crossed this age. And we all thought it's going to be very easy. This is the most difficult age. It's not actually. We all need tips to guide our teens. And today, Hannah will be guiding us or giving us tips to a little bit about the teenage brain. And she'll also be giving us tips a little bit about the social media. Ms. Maria Nemeth, who's the IB head, she'll also be telling us a little about how to manage conflicts, which is rising. Ms. Nazma, the senior school counselor, will be addressing mental health concerns and how to help. I'm not saying with one session we'll be able to manage all this, no. But it's going to be a start, and it's certainly going to help. Let's take it well, let's take it positively, and let's continue with the sessions. And we are here. You need help, we are here, you can reach out to us. This is Choice School. We are different. We are here for you and for your children. With that, I will not take any more time. God bless you. We are right here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. To start our session today, we have Ms. Hannah Masood, our corporate counselor and the head of the Wellbeing Department at the Choice School, who will open with a talk on understanding the teen brain, shedding light on the neurological changes that shape teenage behavior and emotions. Talking about Ms. Hannah Masood, our corporate counselor, is a compassionate leader whose expertise and vision have been instrumental in fostering a nurturing environment at the Choice School. Her dedication to mental health has transformed the well-being landscape for students, parents, and educators like us. I'm inviting Ms. Hannah Masood on the stage.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to talk about navigating teen minds. So it's nice to see the hall almost full. We had about 100 registrations. We were very happy about that. I'm glad parents are here. I'm glad to see parents walking in. So, like Sarah said, I take care of the counseling team. I work with children. I'm also an alumna of the Choice School. I'm not going to lose an opportunity to brag about that. So being an alumna gives me a unique perspective. So the children I work with sit in the same classrooms I once did. They have the same teachers. And it always takes me back to my teenage years. I reminisce. And, as in reminisce sports day and farewell practice and the graduation coming up. But then I realized it's not just me. So the other day during investiture ceremony, there was a teacher telling me, I was a leader one time, and she's been here for 30 years. And all 30 years, she goes back to that day of her investiture ceremony when she watches that program. It's not just teachers, even the guests who come to school. But actor Rahman come in for Fringes, and he spoke about him being nostalgic of his teenage days. And it's not just the guests who come, even the parents. I've heard parents speak about what they did during the breaks, how they broke a window, and what is different and what is the same. We tend to remember our teenage years like it's the golden era of childhood. And the memories are so vivid. It's a time of a lot of fuss, a lot of successes, a lot of failures, a lot of new interests coming up, new friendships coming up, friendships breaking, friendships evolving, a lot of changes happen. This was a time when our parents met our primary needs, but we were given the option to make some decisions of our own, and we had some choices as well. So just going back to our own days, our parents did the best they could for us. But at the same time, they might have been dealing with, health concerns, financial struggles, maybe a tragic incident, or passing away of a loved one, or missing somebody. Our parents might have had some unmet need of theirs. Their parents have channeled from their parents. Okay, I know it's getting confusing. I'll explain. So we need to make sure that we are parenting in the present. So I interacted with parents where parents have, you might not have had access to certain things in your childhood. For example, a bedroom of your own, personal space, or finances, or maybe you really wanted to learn a particular skill, for example, dance, and then you were not allowed to do that. And that is your childhood. But then we should not hold that as circumstance for our parenting practices. That is not our childhood, our children's childhood. We don't have to overcompensate. We don't have to pass on the same pattern. We need to be very cautious. And there's another side to it. I met a parent who, when he was small, he mentioned that when he was small, his parents would tie him up and would beat him. And he knows what it's like to feel physical pain and, the embarrassment of that. And he does not want his child to feel that. So what is he going to do? How is he compensating? He's going to make sure there are no rules, no consequences, nothing for his children. So we need to be aware of how we are parenting. We need to make sure we're parenting in the present. The greatest gift we can give our children, in addition to spending time with them, is being aware of our emotional states and learning to regulate it and manage it. So in order to parent in the present, self-awareness and empathy. In order to parent in the present, we need to make sure that we're seeing things from their eyes, not just our own. So, to help us be more empathetic, I'm going to talk about an organ in the teenage body that undergoes the most amount of changes during this stage. So we know, while children grow, when they enter this stage, there are physiological changes, there's acne, there's the voice changing, growing tall. But there is this organ which has the most number of changes, and that is the teenage brain. Why are we talking about the brain? Because their experiences are primarily because of the result in the changes in the brain. It's not the hormones. So that's a myth. So let's just bust some 3 common myths about the teenage years. One is that raging hormones cause my teen to go mad. Yes, our teens do go mad, but it's not the hormones. Their feelings are very high, the intensity is very high. They get, whatever the way they act might confuse us, but it's not because of the hormones. Teenage is a time of immaturity, and we're just waiting for them to grow up. Like, children just need to grow up. Yes, children, again, whatever they say make no sense sometimes, but it's not a time where you need to wait for them to grow up. It's not a battle you need to come out winning. This is a stage where you can allow your children to thrive. They don't have to just struggle and survive. Independent from adults. So yes, children do tend to move towards certain people and children that they identify with. But at the same time, they need secure attachments with their parents and with trusting adults. So, talking about the brain. Everybody has to study this, and I'm going to ask questions. No, I'm kidding. So, I'm going to explain about the brain in simple terms. We're not going to go into a biology class. So, if you could hold your hands up like this and fold it in. This is the upstairs brain. That is the prefrontal cortex. Okay? And this is the downstairs brain. This is the upstairs brain, this is the downstairs brain. This part of the brain is very primitive. This is responsible for functions like breathing, things that we are not aware of. But this is also responsible for functions like flight, fight, freeze. This is the area of the brain that keeps you safe. This is the area of the brain, the top portion, which is to do with logic, well thought out action, something you need to think about. And on a usual day, this is how it rests. They communicate very closely with each other. The upstairs brain and the downstairs brain are connected. So if there's anything, the upstairs brain is able to guide the downstairs brain and learn and figure out how to do something. But when a child feels a very strong emotion, the connection gets lost. And the downstairs brain takes over. That's where you see, it's called flipping the lid. So people with, you might see people acting out on anger. That's because the connection is lost. They're not able to think. The logical part of the brain is not able to guide them. So while the brain is undergoing a lot of pruning during this stage, a lot of rewiring and pruning, there are 4 features of the brain that is very, it is particular to teens. That's what makes the teens very unique. The first one is emotional spark. So this is something about their brain. The emotional intensity is very high. They feel angry very fast, they feel sad, and it's not even proportionate to the incident. So they feel sad, angry, scared very quickly. They even feel happy and excited really quickly. The downside to this is they might act on impulses, they might be moody, they might make decisions which they will later regret. That's because of the changes in the brain, their emotional intensity is high. Another downside is the emotion for the day rules their day, for that day. It's very hard. But one thing which the positive part is if they're passionate about something and if it's something productive, then they're going to work really hard on that. And this is also a chance to teach or to bring up emotional regulation skills, to enhance the skill of keeping the upstairs and downstairs connected. The next part, social engagement. So if you look at, this is an acronym to remember some features of the teenage brain. This is called ESSENCE. ENS stands for emotional spark. The second part, social engagement. This is when friendships are very important to children. New friendships, being identified with a friend group, being able to be identified with a particular clique. So the disadvantage to this, you might choose the wrong company, you can get carried away. And the advantage is if you have good, meaningful relationships, people to guide you, they'll really respect, they'll really want to cherish those relationships. The next part, seeking novelty, seeking anything new. This is where risk-taking behavior comes from. They want to try out new things. This is where they engage in behaviors, risk-taking behavior, even behaviors that give new sensations. So the disadvantage is, again, where they take risks. The advantage is they'll be trying out new things. They're ready for that. Creative exploration. So they want to try out. It's more of, innovating, questioning status quo, out-of-the-box thinking. So the disadvantage with this is, if they might not identify, if they lack self-esteem, if they don't fit in, if they don't know the purpose of their life, if they don't have a goal, then they might have an identity crisis. Then they're more susceptible to peer pressure because of this. So brain changes during adulthood offers a lot of risks, but it's on us to capitalize on the benefits as well to help our children thrive. So an analogy I'd like to give is, it's like a waterfall. We cannot control it, we cannot stop a waterfall, but you can direct its course, and you can even harness the power. So the teenage years are like that. So we could look at, this is a very important stage because their experiences that they have develop the core character traits for the rest of their lives. So we can help them thrive. It's just a matter of understanding and improving our understanding between them. So as we speak about these, the features of the brain, I'm just going to talk about one challenge that we have. That is with social media. So with social media, let's just reflect on our own usage. Our own usage. How do we engage with social media? Is it active usage or is it passive usage? Do you know what active usage and passive usage is? So passive usage is when you're just scrolling, when you want to relax, when you're mindlessly scrolling, when you want to just numb your mind for some time if you had a long day, when you're waiting for an elevator, when you're waiting for the lift to come, when, the amount of time people spend in the bathroom universally has increased, and the reason is not digested. And so passive scrolling is when you're just scrolling. A new habit is people have started scrolling while driving as well. So let's, be aware, mindful of that. So one is passive scrolling. Active scrolling is when you are engaging, or active usage is when you're engaging. You're writing comments, you're sharing things, you're learning something, you're chatting. So what do you think is better for you, active usage or passive usage? It is active usage. Active usage is better, but it also comes down to who you're talking to, who your child is talking to, what kind of content you're engaging with, and how much time, of course, you're spending. So to know if the way you use social media is good or not, just reflect on how do you feel when you put your phone down? How do you feel about yourself? After scrolling over Instagram, after checking something, do you feel good about yourself? Do you feel inadequate about yourself? Do you wish that your circumstances were different? Do you feel that you're not a good enough parent? You think your child feels inadequate? So these are questions you need to ask to analyze whether your usage is helping you or not. Now, if you're learning something new, if you're getting equipped with some new skills, if it's motivating you to do something productive, that's another thing. But research shows overall, the level of isolation people feel has increased. Although social media is something that brings you closer and connects you to people, people are actually feeling more isolated. The level of depression in the world has gone up, and it's all impact of social media. So coming to social media and children. So social media is a platform that meets all these needs of the brain. It gets you your emotional intensity, it makes you happy, gets you connected with your friends, helps you meet new friends, you seek out new things all the time, new posts, new videos, new content, creative exploration, everything a child meets it through this platform. They get their dopamine hits. So it's known as dopamine clicks. And you know how that works, right? So the more and more you get it, the more and more the brain releases dopamine, more and more those circuits get strengthened. More and more those wires are made, more and more it gets strengthened. And that's how an addiction happens. Because you tend to get your dopamine rewards through this. Now, even something like alcohol, which can be addictive, has an age restriction. Something like social media, when children are left with it, you're giving them something where they're not equipped enough to handle it. They don't have the logic yet, nor do they have the resources in them or the knowledge in them on how to navigate it. Now, a little bit of the brain, coming back to the upstairs and downstairs brain, this part which is the primitive and the oldest part, this part which is responsible for logic, for the teenagers, this part is still developing. It hasn't developed yet. That's another reason they undertake risky behavior. They're not able to think out their actions. They're not well thought out decisions. So again, when it comes to social media, they're not able to think. So, we hear open conversations, and we've even told the children, it's not like you can't say, "Ma'am, my brain is not developed, that's why I, bunked class," or whatever. It's just that you're aware, you ask for help, you talk about it, you think things out. So, there's a fundamental mismatch between the way our human brains are wired and how social media is impacting it. When we hear the news of a friend having a baby or a family having a baby, you feel the emotion, you feel happy, you let it sink in. But then with social media, you see a post which makes you happy, and then even before you can think of anything, your finger goes to the next thing, and it might be a post about so many people dying. And then it might be another post of somebody buying a new house. And you're just jumping from one emotion to the other and then to the next. Our brains are not wired for these things. Our brains are not wired for dopamine hits like this. Our brains are not wired from jumping from one emotion to another. The dopamine hits like this, I'll give you a simple analogy. So imagine you go to a casino in Las Vegas and you have a slot machine, and you get your rewards or your dopamine hits. Imagine you bring the machine home and you give it to your child to keep playing. So that's how leaving the child with the phone is. You're giving your child something where they are not supervised and they do not know how to navigate it. So we need to be very mindful about this. Ms. Maria will be speaking on ways we can handle different situations. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah ma'am, for those insightful words. Now we have Ms. Maria Nemeth, the head of IB and CATD, who will guide us through the topic Navigating Conflicts Together, offering practical tools to manage and resolve common challenges between parents and teens. Ms. Maria Nemeth is a truly compassionate and supportive mentor who has been a pillar of strength for our team. Her warmth, wisdom, and unwavering dedication have created an atmosphere of trust and collaboration. Requesting ma'am to please come up on this.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here. Just to clarify, CATD is Choice Academy for Teacher Development, and I am the trainer, all right? Hannah just talked about the brain of the child and what is causing the actual conflict. In my role here, I'm more concerned about you, all right? As a trainer, I will be talking to you as also a mother of 2 teenagers, all right? And an auntie of 7 teenagers, all right? So it's a house full of madness, all right? And to be honest with you, if you have a child who's a teenager right now, most probably mothers in this room will be in the age of maybe late 30s, beginning of 40s, or maybe in their 50s, I would assume. That means you have a teenager, and at the same time, you, as a mother, are going through also some hormonal changes. So everyone is losing it. All right? So this is what is happening at home, all right? And if you have a little one also, so you'll have a toddler and a teenager, and your hormones are changing, so you can imagine what's happening there, right? So this is what happens, this is what's happening with us, and this is the conflict. Where is the conflict? The conflict is that we have teenagers who are going through a lot. We are going through a lot, all right? Whether it is at home, our work, the world is evolving and changing, the demands are different. Maybe if you want to compare, which is a natural thing, Hannah said, don't pass it, all right? But sometimes it's easy said than done, because you will be also reflecting and sitting and saying, all right, if it was my mother and I gave her that rolling of the eyes, she would have just slapped me and fixed it right away. All right? I can't do this. So sometimes when we joke with my siblings, they call me to vent out because they say, you're the trainer. You are the head of teenagers. You were a teacher before for so many years just teaching teenagers. So tell us, did we do something wrong when we were young? And this is what we deserve now? So that will be the talk. That will be the joke. What did we do? All right? And that to have these teenagers. But we love them to bits. We love them so much, and especially when they're sleeping. right? When they go to bed, it's like, ah, right? And when you want to wake them up, you go and they're so sleepy. But the minute you started waking them up, what happens? Conflict starts because they don't want to wake up and they're going to be late. And then this is where the neighbors also become involved in what's happening at home because sometimes we're loud enough, all right? So these things, why I'm sharing that, just to let you know that this is happening with everyone, all right? You're not alone, all right? So where is the trick here? Hannah just said that the brain is not yet developed, all right? When we understand and keep reminding ourselves that the brain has not yet developed, and according to science, it is not developed till the age of 25, fully. And what's happening now is that the research about the brain and the child's brain has been intensive only for the past 10 years. All right, so when we say we were not like this, we've never heard of this before, this is a new trend that is happening. It's not a new trend. It's that research is intensive about the teenager and the brain is intensive only for the past 10 years. And this is where they're doing the research through scanning, and they are doing these kind of research to see how the brain is actually reacting under MRI. Okay, and they're doing some research about giving the child sugar and see how the brain is functioning under an MRI, or giving money, or giving the device. Okay, and they are seeing and studying these changes. That's why we are now more aware of what is happening. All right? So if we keep reminding ourselves that the brain is not yet developed, at least we can identify where the conflict is. So when they roll their eyes, all right, it is because they're not thinking of the consequences. They're not thinking. If they go and slam the door and they don't even bother to say sorry, it's because they're not thinking. Okay, when they cannot control emotions, as just Hannah said, it is because they can't control the emotion. And the new thing is the eye contact. Look at me, and then you'll remember yourself with your parents. I wouldn't have dared not look into eye, and I would stare like this, right? You won't even blink. All right? It's different now. We did not have these devices in front of us the way they do. Laptop devices, TV, and all that. So the eye contact is another problem that is happening because of that. And because of texting. So the way they're expressing themselves is also changing. They are more comfortable texting than picking up a phone or talking to you. I don't know, I have 2 teenagers at home, and sometimes I get messages while we're all in the same room. I do. And I would look at them and say, oh, I just want to say something. What's for lunch? I'm here. Ask me. All right? Why? They are more comfortable. So the conflict is for us to understand that they are going through a certain age where the brain is not fully developed. So what do we do? Just let them do whatever they want? Of course not. This is not the solution, right? Because as Hannah also said, we are not passing it from one generation to another, but does not mean do whatever you want. So that means we have, first of all, to train ourselves to breathe. We have to train ourselves to control our reactions to the reactions. Because if they're yelling, and we are yelling, and then everyone is yelling, then it's a party. Right? We're going nowhere with that. So, easy said than done again. All right? Because at that moment, you sometimes feel like you're just going to get out of the couch and I don't know what to do, or maybe leave the house, or, right? So that training is something that needs a lot of practice. It does not happen overnight. So the first thing we will do is if you're not into journaling, you need to get yourselves as adults into the habit of journaling, where you write in the morning or at night your thoughts down and your feelings. Because once you express yourself in a paper and a pen, okay, you are letting and releasing lots of emotions. Okay? And this is where you realize that sometimes you become too upset for something that is not worth it, because of a certain reaction. How do we do that? It's a training. If you read books about changing habits, all right, you will understand that for you to change a habit, you have to be consistent for 30 days minimum in order to start seeing some of the change. It's like quitting smoking, for example. This is how I want you to think of any habit you want to change. All right? So when I train myself to breathe in a situation that I feel that I cannot control myself, it's all about the training, and it's all about taking 4 deep breaths that will make you calm down. So your child comes back from school feeling frustrated. They can be feeling frustrated not because something happened at school. Maybe they have been good all day, disciplined all day, showing the teacher the best of their behavior all day. All right? And then they come home. This is the time where they want to be themselves and vent out. So they will come in, throw the bag here, take off the shoes there, and nothing will be in its place, right or no? They will go to the table, eat, leave the glass and the plate and everything for someone to pick it up after them. Yes or no? They take their food, they go to their room, they close the doors. Do they do that? They come back home feeling frustrated. All right? What do we do here? Give them time. So, because the minute they come in and throw their things around, I'm talking about teenagers, you'll start, pick this up, take this here, do it there. They're not listening. You're becoming frustrated. Remind yourself that even if the whole house is a mess, in 30 minutes you can clean it up, right? Or you can hire someone to help you and clean it up. So the concept of I want to have a house that is very tidy and neat, we want to forget it. Leave it. Leave it. Okay? Because if this is the conflict that will happen once they are home, then the minute they're home, you're not having a healthy conversation. Let them throw their things around, and then you have a rule that before we go to bed, we want to clean up. All right? So the minute they enter, let them show their frustration. Maybe they had a fight with their friends. For us, it's something so silly. For them, it's the end of the world. Right? So we give them the time once they are in. And when we start a conversation, we start always a question that is positive. How was your day today? Did you enjoy? What was the best thing about today? Sometimes they might also roll their eyes. Or just say, good. Nothing. They might answer like this. Okay, take it. And then tell them about your day. Trust me, they will listen to you. Make up stories, cook up stories. Say, today I had a meeting and it did not go well. Why? What happened? Because you're here. For them, it's like a gossip time. Tell us what's happening. And this is how you get yourself in the habit of talking to them, taking the initiative to share with them what happened with you throughout the day, so they can, little by little, open up. Now, the second conflict, when they open up. When they open up and say something that you don't like, we tend to be judgmental. And it's out of love and fear, right? The minute you judge them, they will block. But do I let them say whatever they want? Yes, but I listen carefully. So I can choose the right time, the right moment, or the right person to talk to them about it. And it's not easy. Again, easy said than done. All right? If your son comes back home and tells you he had a fight with someone and they hit each other, how can you control that? You'll become very scared, right? But this is where you take the deep breath and say, why? What happened? Acting cool and keeping your cool is very important. Because if you overreact and pick up the phone and call the teacher right away, what happened? What happened to my son? He was beaten up. What happened? Okay, then your son is looking and doing what you're doing. So, if I do that, then I'm getting the attention, then I'll be doing it more often. But if you take a deep breath and ask, why? What happened? Are you okay? Is your friend okay? The whole conversation will change. And they will start opening up to tell you what exactly happened. And when you ask questions, you're not taking their side fully, you're not taking the other side fully. You are just open to listen. So what happened? What made you get physical? What did he say? What did you say? But what did you say that made him say that? And you're just asking questions and keeping your cool. It's all about training yourself to keep your cool while listening to them. And when you're listening to them, your phones are aside and you are doing nothing but listening to them. Because from our position here as school, okay, whether we're heading departments, whether we're the counselors or what have you, all right, one thing that children keep telling us, that no one is listening to them. They don't say it like this. They don't come and say, my parents are not listening to me. But they come and talk non-stop. And this is where you can tell that they are thirsty to speak. All right? Or they try to find another friend where they will sit and talk, and this is where it becomes dangerous because with that peer pressure, we don't know what is happening. It can be that the friend is telling them, yes, you're right. It's just because they want to show empathy. So Hannah also mentioned that empathy is something that they should take from home. You should fill that need first. You should fill it by reminding yourself that you are the parents in this room. You are the adults in this room. They are not the adults. So where is the conflict here? That we set expectations and we want them to meet these expectations. Guess what? They will not meet our expectations at this age. They can't. So when we talk to the children, they say, my parents want me to do this. My parents I'm not good enough for my parents. That we hear a lot. I'm not good enough. Why? Why? What makes a parent say that their child or think that the child is not good enough? Because I set high standards for them. And this is where you need to sit and reflect on the child's abilities and differentiate also in the goals that you set for your children at home. They're not all the same. They can't be the same. Even twins, identical twins are not the same. We have sets of twins at school. They're not the same. I can't compare my children to each other. They are different. Especially if you have a child who graduated from school a couple of years ago, and you have now one who's in grade 9. I'm telling you, this is a huge gap. Do we have any parents in this room with this age? Yeah. Do you notice the difference? Because so many changes happened, like the social media. But what is the answer? Do I just let them use social media as much as they want? Of course not. Do I take the phone away? You can't do this. You can't. They will nag, they will cry, they will stay behind you, or they'll be very good till they get it back. And what you're teaching them? How to manipulate you. And then they will manipulate others. And this is how they grow, and this is what we are producing to the community and to the society. We don't want this, right? So we set goals together. We set the expectations together, and that can only happen in a healthy conversation. We set the rules. You want your phone? Fine, earn it. And then we can say, okay, you can use your phone up till that hour. And then all devices are going to be on the table. No Wi-Fi connection. No Wi-Fi connection 1 hour before you go to bed. When you set the expectations together, it's like an agreement you do from both sides. It's a take and give. Rights and responsibilities. You have the right to have your device, but you are responsible for it. And trust me, children love it. We have a code of conduct. We work with our children about rights and responsibilities. We say, earn it. You want something, earn it. What are this is your right, but you are responsible for something else. When you show irresponsibility towards something, you lose your right. And this is the law of life. And we show them, we also model it in front of them. I can't tell my child, put your phone down while I am scrolling through the phone. They do what we do. They say what we say. So we are the parents, we are the ones who are going to sacrifice for them. I'm a student at university. I'm a doctor candidate at a university. I'm doing my doctoral degree. I notice when I sit and study, they sit and study. Without me asking them, it is setting the tone. I notice when I put my phone down and get myself something to drink and sit on the couch, they join. I initiate. Don't expect them to ask you to come and sit with them and have a drink with them. Or let's drink juice together, or whatever. Okay? Don't expect that from them. You have to initiate it. Show it, role model it. You can't say you have to wake up early and go and catch the bus when you don't have time to wake up early for them and see them before they go to school. You set the tone. Trust me, even if you work late till night, you can make some time. That I'm talking about 5, even if your children are big enough to get themselves ready and go to school. Please wake up 5 minutes before the bus picks them up, just to say, have a good day. It means the world to them. I am telling you because we are the ones who are dealing with them once they step in. We can tell when the child has a fight before they come to school. It shows right away. If you fight with them before they come to school, it reflects on them during school hours. Sometimes it's hard because we are made of emotions. We're human beings, right? So what do? We remind ourselves that we are the parents. Even if they upset us in the morning, don't take it personal. You're the father, you're the mother. Give them a hug before they leave to school. Tell them, have a good day. God bless you. What have you? Whatever it is, wish them before they leave, even if you were fighting on that day. Do not let them go to bed with feeling upset, even if they are the ones who upset you. And you know what? Sometimes we fake it. Sometimes you're boiling inside. Sometimes you want to cry. But don't let them go to bed upset. Because life is not guaranteed. You can't guarantee life. You can't know what's going to happen from now 4 or 5 minutes later, right? You can't. Do not let your children go to bed upset. Say good night. Hug them, kiss them, and let it go. And it is the power of letting go. And there are so many resources, so many books about the power of letting go. And that is one thing that you have to do. Even if it's a big thing, remember that you can always talk about it the next day. You can always sit together and discuss it. If you can't do it yourself, you can always ask for help. It can be someone in the family. It can be the counselor at school. And have you seen, we have 13 counselors, and they are all trusted, and they are all professionals, okay? And they will not hide something from you if they feel that you have to know about it. You will not be in denial. They are not the enemy. They are here to support you. Hug them, kiss them as much as possible. Even if they push you away, because now they're taller than us, right? Do it anyway and laugh about it. Don't feel hurt. Don't take it personal. Let it go. And even if it's so much heated, you say, you know what? It's nighttime. Okay, we have to go to bed. I just want you to know that we can go through this together. Together we can solve it. Together we will find a solution. Just for now, go to sleep and know that I love you. Do you say it more? Do you say it enough? Do you say I love you enough to your children? Please do. If you don't, I saw some people doing that. If you don't say it enough, say it enough. Train yourself to say it enough. Hug them. Say that you love them. Don't send them to school angry. Don't send them to bed upset. And remember that it is our responsibility, as one of my children once told me, one of my students, he said, when I was talking about respecting parents and all, he told me, it is their decision to bring me to this life. They owe me everything, I owe them nothing. And this is how the teenage brain functions. Is this true? Not totally, but is it partially true? Yes. It is our responsibility to take care of them and to ensure that we are raising good citizenships, good individuals to this society who will make a difference in this world. All right? So with this, I'll pass it to Ms. Nasma. Love them and God bless them and bless you. Take good care of yourselves. All right? Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for those encouraging words. And I think it's the need of the hour right now. It is very important to hug, kiss. I know for a fact that my mother, my father used to hug me, kiss me, and say, I'll say this in Malayalam just because it's a very nice thing for me. My dad used to say, "Nee ende kochu kuttiyalle. You are my small daughter." No matter how much I've grown up, my father still pampers me, and I believe that has created a very positive impact in my life. So just like that, thank you so much, ma'am, for those words. Now, lastly, our final speaker today is Nasma Hassan, the senior school counselor at Choice Wellbeing, who will conclude with a session on the topic, Your Teen's Mental Health Concern and How to Navigate Them. Ms. Nasma is a dedicated and empathetic counselor whose thoughtful approach and support makes her an integral part of the Choice Wellbeing team. She will provide practical insights on identifying signs of mental health concerns and fostering a supportive environment at home. I now invite Ms. Nasma Hassan.
Hi, so yes, my name is Nasma. I'm the counselor for grade 11 and 12. Any grade 11 and 12 parents here? Okay, all right, great. Okay, so actually, I want to start off with a little activity today. So, I'm hoping people will volunteer for this, right? I want you to stand up, one parent to stand up, and say something that you're proud of as a parent, something that, something that you're proud of, some characteristic about yourself that you're proud of as a parent. Saying that, I'm a good listener to my children, for example. That's an example. So do I randomly choose or will you volunteer? I think I'm going to have to randomly choose. Should I? Okay.
Hi everyone, I'm Sajita. I have a teenage daughter and I'm not here fully as a parent. I'm the primary years coordinator at IB. To answer your question, maybe it's also because I'm a teacher and I deal with children of the same age and with the training that comes with it. I never judge my child, whatever she talks about.
Right.
So she is just now turning 11, all right? So they have all kinds of weird discussions at school, okay?
Yes.
Including sex, let me be very open with it. When we were young, 10 was a time when we were really stupid, I would say. We never knew anything, and we were playing with dolls and maybe housey, whereas our children are talking about how to make babies, the different things that can be done to make babies. So even if she comes with something like this, I do not rebuke. As ma'am said, I keep a very cool face, whereas I'm boiling inside. And I listen fully to what she says. And as ma'am said, if I don't know to handle it, by God's grace, my co-sister is a counselor. Without my daughter seeing, I'll go call her. This is happening. What is it? What should I do?
What should I do?
So I'll take help, and then I'll handle the situation accordingly. So she herself, she's a child who's very vocal. So several instances, she has told me that, Amma, one thing I like about you is that you will listen to me without making a fuss and give me a proper reply. And when I talk to my friends, many of them say that the moment they open their mouth, their mothers will, lose it. And why are you not a mother like that? That's what she asked me. I said, maybe because I'm trained, I'm a teacher, I know to handle this. So I think that is a strength. And I was really able to relate to what ma'am was saying, both of them actually, when they were talking. And it makes a lot of sense to get help when we don't know it, I think, because as teachers or parents, we are not fully trained to handle situations change. So I think, yes, listening and being, it doesn't mean that I'm a patient listener always, okay? I can show her the mother face, and I do it very often. But when it comes to things that they are confused about, like they come and talk about, what do you mean by being gay? What is being a lesbian? How are babies made? What is periods? Do boys get it? And all those things. As parents, we must not lose our cool, because that is very critical, and they should hear it from us before they hear it from anyone else.
Absolutely. Okay, anyone else? We have to have a few more, come on. Think about it. Think about, what's something that you're proud of as a parent.
Hi, I'm Rashmi. I'm IB faculty here, and I'm here as a parent. Something that I'm really proud as a parent is, I have two kids. My elder one is in university, younger one is doing middle years. Both of them are independent and empathetic.
Amazing.
So I think, my mom is a teacher. So she's a special needs teacher. She was working with special needs for 35 years. So I think I had a childhood with kids where we never had a differentiation between a normal child or a special needs child. So I think my childhood was based on that, and then I think I was able to carry on with that, and then empathy is something that my value is based on. So I think that has made them more independent and be thankful to what they have and what they don't have. So I think I'm so proud of that.
Anyone?
My name is Sanil. Again, a teenager daughter is there in the 9th standard. Elder one is in engineering. He also graduated from here and doing engineering. I think again, as some of them were saying, I think I don't want to repeat it, but I think compared to women, I think I was able to actually I think it's very common that like we are able to handle. I mean, we don't actually react that
right.
strongly, and we are able to take it. So I think that's a common thing with all the fathers, I believe. So I don't want to actually highlight that. But I think other thing is that I have a strong, very religious belief. So I have imparted that to my daughter and son. So in that way, I mean, you can say that in this world, I mean, everything is taken in both sides, right? But I think that has definitely helped her in actually controlling her emotions, and I think overall, I think that has helped her in being very, obedience, as well as controlling her emotions. Like I think compared to many other teenagers in her age. So that, I think that's something that I'm proud of. I believe, she is growing in that, and hopefully that will help her, as she move forward in her life.
Yeah, hi, I have 3 boys. One is in 9th, the younger one is in 4th, and the youngest one is in prep. So, like ma'am said, I could relate to it really well. It's all chaos at home. But one thing I think I'm proud about is that I want them to study well, but I don't judge the marks. I don't give too much importance to that. So I've heard a lot of my son's friends coming and telling me, they get into a lot of trouble if the mark is low. So, auntie, how do you do that? I don't know, but I never give it too much importance. I felt that is better. So the pressure is much lesser for him to study.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Absolutely. Perfect. All right. That's actually a really good quality to have. I think that's one thing a lot of the students that, come for counseling actually complain about as well. I got these many marks, I'm scared, I'm not going home. Can I sit here? That's the kind of things they say usually when they get their marks. Oh my God, somebody actually hid their marks and then said, oh, I didn't get the marks. I said, what did you tell your mom? She's like, I told her I didn't get the marks. I was like, okay. So that's a very common thing. So that's really great that you, not giving a lot of importance to the marks. But see, the thing is, I ask and, I talk about, I try to do this activity because it's important for you guys also to, think of, see, I am sure you're all doubting yourself as parents, right? And there's a lot of self-doubt, there's a lot of, oh, this parent is doing this way, this child is that way. What has, the parents done to make sure that, that child is, a certain way. So I think it's very important for you guys also to kind of reflect on the kind of parents you are and appreciate yourselves for that sometimes, right? This is something actually I share with a lot of my students during counseling, is that, see, you guys are also doing parenting for the first time. This is not something that you get a guidebook on and you learn how to do it. This is your first time parenting, this is your first time doing all of this, and I think you grow with them, right? I think how you are as a parent also changes as they get older. I think this is something I realized very recently with my mother. She used to be the kind of person that, sent my little sister to accompany me to when I went for dinner with my friends. And, now she's like, she doesn't care. I live alone now. I go on trips, doesn't care. Now she's my friend, she's someone I want to take on trips with and everything. So I think she's also changed over time, and that's something, I had a conversation with about this to her as well. So this is something I realized. And, she's always told me as well, this is something that we struggle with, because we're thinking, how can I be a better mother? And, when you lash out sometimes, when you make mistakes, I take it very personally. And that made me feel really bad. Because, especially, see, thing is, when I was a teenager, it didn't really matter. Like, what I felt was what mattered to me. But then, now I realized that my mom was also suffering, and she was also, facing a lot of emotional distress because I was making mistakes. So, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that you guys are also, appreciating yourselves in the work that you're putting in to be a good parent. See, you guys being here today shows the commitment you have to being a good parent. So, round of applause for that. So, yeah. Right, so, see, adolescence can be a very tough time for students, right? For kids this age, I think there's, they have to choose a stream, choose a career path, choose which college they need to go to. They have issues with their friends. Nobody's really, honest with each other. They have relationship issues. There's a lot of things that happen at this age, right? So they're going through a lot of emotional, obviously with the physical changes that they're going through. So it's a very overwhelming time for kids. So because of all of this, it's very easy for them to, experience emotional distress and have mental health concerns. So what are some of the common ones that you know? Anxiety, depression, self-esteem issues, peer pressure. These are all common ones that you know, right? The mental health concerns that everybody normally knows, right? Yeah. See, so if I were to ask you, what is anxiety? You would say, oh, getting really scared, being really anxious, being really tensed about something. See, when you're really stressed before an exam, even if they've studied, that is anxiety. So that, the reason I'm not going into too much detail about all of these mental health concerns is because this is pretty much common knowledge, right? You all understand how these actually manifest in children. But what I do want to talk about is how there are some uncommon symptoms of mental health concerns and uncommon symptoms of knowing that a child is in emotional distress, right? So, see, obviously the common ones are like losing interest in activities, okay? If you see them, if let's say painting is something that they used to enjoy, but they're not showing that interest anymore, then see, that is something that you need to be mindful about. I'm not saying that that's cause for concern, but it is something that you need to be mindful about. And the problem with understanding if it's emotional distress or typical teenage behavior, that can be a bit difficult, right? Because it's very usual for them to rebel or, do anything. Like, see, all of these emotions, all of these things that I'm about to say are very common. So it could be typical teenage behavior as well. But, see, the thing is, it's important for you as parents to be mindful about what these changes are and how long it lasts. That's the important thing. If it's something that happens in a day, that's fine. You can move on from it, right? But if it stays for, let's say, 2 weeks, for 2 weeks, they're being very moody, they're being very frustrated, then that's cause for concern. Then that's something that maybe you need to have a conversation with them about. If they're opening up to you, you can direct them to speak to their counselor, speak to another trusted adult, right? So that's something that you can do. Now, there is actually a lot of, peer pressure is actually a lot more problematic than I initially thought. See, before coming into a school environment, I thought, yeah, peer pressure would be an issue, but I think it's a bigger issue than I initially thought. There's a lot of students don't know really how to set boundaries with their friends. They don't know when to say no, how to say no. That can be an issue, right? So that's also one mental health concerns that I think everyone should be aware about. And then there's academic stress, of course, fear of failure, difficulty in managing expectations, your expectations, the expectations that they put on themselves, and burnout, obviously. If they study too much, they'll just crash, right? If they spend too much time, focused on this, they end up crashing. So these are common symptoms of mental health concerns, right? Now, I'm going to talk about the uncommon ones. Have you ever noticed your child trying to be perfect in everything? Overly, see, they have an obsessive need to be perfect. If they're doing a project, they'll get very annoyed if they did one line went wrong, something like that, right? So perfectionism is actually a very uncommon sign of mental health concerns, emotional distress, all right? So if you notice that, for a prolonged period of time, that's cause for concern, all right? Then there's over-involvement in social media. Obviously, social media was something that was mentioned here. See, I'm not talking about overuse of social media, over-involvement. As in, if they're, easily irritated and they're, constantly looking at the amount of likes and comments that they get. Is that something that you guys have seen? Constantly checking the likes and comments and everything. If they post something, they just, if they post a story, they just keep replaying it. That's something I also do. But yeah, so, something like that. If it's something that you've seen and you see it over a period of time, that could be a cause for concern. All right? And then creative expression. Do your children listen to really sad music? Have you noticed that? Okay. I hope not, because that's kind of a cause for concern. See, if their creative expression, if they paint, if they're painting really dark themes, or if they're, writing something, and if they happen to show you their writing, it's a really dark, literature that they're writing, that is also cause for concern. See, these are very uncommon. These are very, it'll very easily slip your mind. You'll think, oh, they're having a emo phase in school, so it's okay. That's what you'll think, right? But if it, lasts for a long, period of time, there is cause for concern. It's good to have a conversation with them about it, right? And then risk-taking behavior. If they're really impulsive and don't really think about, the consequences, if they have, that's the kind of behavior that they have, like they, if they started driving or learning to drive, they drive very recklessly, or they, constantly do things that are thrill-seeking, right? If they, engage in acts like that, that is also something that you should be aware of. And then next is physical complaints, stomach aches, headaches, all the time with no reason. See, especially like, let's say, one way of telling if your child has a bully at school is if they have a lot of stomach ache every single day and they don't want to go to school. That's very common. If they've actually experienced something negative in school from their peers, it's very common for them to actually, because they don't want to go back to class and face these people. So they end up saying, I have fever, I have, oh, I've done this thing actually when I was young. I put hot water on my forehead and wiped it off, went to my mom and I told her, see, I have fever. So I've also done this. So I know for a fact that this is what people do. So yeah, these are all things that, could be cause for concern. So if they are, consistently saying that I have a stomachache, I have a headache, I have fever, I don't want to go to school, I'm feeling very tired, my leg is aching, all of that, if they're saying it for a long period of time, maybe sit down and try to have a conversation with them. If you ask them directly, like, oh, what is this? I don't think they'll, open up like that. But maybe, try to give them like a safe space to talk, and then maybe I think they'll open up. Right. Now, overcompensating socially. If your child is very, excessively cheerful, very extroverted, that also could be a sign of emotional distress because they're trying to mask, what they're feeling inside. So that is also a cause for concern. All right? Then changes in eating patterns. This is actually something that's very, I think something that you need to look out for because it could lead to other mental health concerns as well. So if they, stop eating at all, or if they start eating a lot, and if they eat depending on their mood, that is also something that you guys need to look out for. Then, memory lapses or inattentiveness. So that can be, let's say you're talking to them about something, and they're fully zoned out. They're not listening to anything you're saying, or they're not paying attention to you at all. And once or twice, that's all right. But if it happens for a long period of time, then I think that's something that you should be worried about. See, so I listed all of these out. I know I can just say what it is and just, move on, but I listed all of these out so that, it's easier for you to remember if you see these signs in your child. Because if you do, it's something that you need to, either try to have a conversation with them about it, or if that's not possible, urge them to speak to a counselor, or you can speak to the counselors directly and say, okay, this is something I noticed in my child. Can you, keep an eye out for the child? So that's also something you can do. Or if there's a teacher that they trust more, you can direct them, the student to the teacher. So that's also a possibility. It's important that you figure out a way to make sure that they get help for the emotional distress that they're experiencing. All right? Okay. Now, and also I said this because these are all you can easily pass this off as typical teenage behavior. all of these things. For example, the extreme cheerfulness, right? You can think, oh, my child is always very happy, talking to everyone, being a very extroverted. So you could possibly think, okay, there's nothing possibly wrong with my child, right? So that is a possibility that you may think that. But it could be your child masking, emotional distress. So that's why these kind of symptoms are very important to look out for. All right? Okay. Now, effective communication strategies. That's what we're going to talk about next. See, I told you all the problems. Now I need to tell you how you can deal with it, right? Donna, the grounding techniques. So, the other counselors are going to hand you a sheet of paper. It has a few grounding techniques that you can use with your child, for your child and for you as well. Okay, but we'll talk more about that later. I think, while everyone gets the paper, I need to talk about, effective communication strategies that you can have with your children. I think one important thing is that, see, I'm sure you're all, is everyone here working? Yes? Anyone not working? A few. All right, okay. So, regardless of if you're a working, parent or you're not, I think being present is one of the most important things you can do to be an effective communicator with your children. Because, let's say, they're having a conversation with you. They're coming excited and telling you, like, oh, mom, listen, this happened in school today. And if you're on your phone and you're listening, you know you're listening, but you're on your phone, that's just going to make them feel like, oh, whatever mom is doing on her phone is more important than what I'm saying. So it's going to make them feel really bad about, being excited and telling their mom about what's happened. So be present. When they're speaking to you, be attentive and listen to what they're saying. All right? Okay, so that's one thing. Now, how many of you ask your children, when they come from school, how many of you ask them, how was your day? What did you do in school today? You ask that. How's school? That's a question you ask, right? Now, why don't we try to turn that into, what did you enjoy about school today? Ask a more open-ended question. How was school today is a very close-ended question. They can say, it was fine. Nothing happened. It was good. School. They can stop at that. But why don't you ask them questions where they have to, give you more explanation? So that can initiate a conversation between the both of you, right? So instead of asking, how was school, you can ask, did you have fun? Did you enjoy school? Or, if there was something that they mentioned about their friends or, any particular presentation that they had, ask them about that. Show interest and show, make sure you remember these things also. Some things that they mention you have to remember so that you can ask them questions about it later. Because you know what that does? When you're talking to someone a lot and they remember these small details about you and they ask questions about you later, you'll feel very understood because you'll think, oh, I talked a lot, but then this person remembered everything I said. So it shows the child that you're actually listening to them and that you're, present in the conversation. Okay? Now, so let's say they come to you with a very minor issue, okay? Obviously, to you as an adult, it might not seem like a huge issue at all, but they're really sad about it. I think Mariam mentioned, this as well. If they have a really small issue, let's say, but even though it doesn't seem like a huge issue to you, you have to validate their feelings. They have to know that, okay, you understand. Like, instead of saying, like, that's not really a big deal. I don't know why you're making such a big deal out of it. Instead of dismissing their feelings, you should say, oh, that sounds awful. Like, how did you feel? Did you understand the difference? Like, instead of invalidating their feelings, ask them questions about it, be understanding to what they're feeling. Because it may seem minor to you. For them, it's their whole world, right? Because at that point, there's not really, they live in a bubble. I think until they leave school, students really live in a bubble. So I think, everything that happens at school with their friends, it's the end of the world for them. So that's also something that, you should be doing. Now, when you listen without interrupting, that's a very, see, if you're asking them questions is all right, but give them the space to actually say whatever they need to say to you, all right? And now, share stories with them. This is something that Maria ma'am mentioned, I think, about tell them your stories, make cook-up stories. That's what she said, right? Thing is, my mom used to make sure that, she'd tell me about all her, friends' problems, everything, which made me feel like I have a space with her. Honestly, she was my favorite gossip partner at that point, So I feel like having that kind of space with your parents will really help you think, okay, even if I'm in trouble, even if it's something that they'll yell at me later for, maybe I can go to my mom and dad and talk about this. So the more you share stories about, your day, about your friends and about your work and something that you saw on the news, something you saw on Instagram, the more you talk about it, they'll also be interested in talking about it to you. Because they'll feel, oh, she trusts me enough to talk to me about this, so I should too, right? Okay, and now, again, like Maria ma'am said, if, they come from school and you ask this question, how was the day, or did you have fun, all of that. And if they don't really give you a lot of answers, let them. Because pushing them is not gonna, or getting angry or getting frustrated that they're not actually speaking to you is not gonna work, right? What you need to do is don't push them, give them time, they'll only come and talk to you. Because that's what usually happens. See, parents usually get frustrated, like, oh, I'm being nice, I'm asking you a question, I'm caring about, I care about you, so I'm asking you a question about how your day was and you're not even responding. It's very easy to feel that way because it is valid. What you're feeling is valid, but it's important to give them that space because maybe they're not in a position to talk about it. Maybe they need to cool off a little bit and then talk about it. So if they're not giving you answers, if they're not talking to you, do not push them. That's also one way to make sure that, they communicate to you properly. Now, I think one of the most important things is, I've heard parents say, like, I don't know where my child learned this from, if they exhibit some kind of behavior. That's a very common thing I've heard say. My sister actually says that a lot because my nephew's very stubborn. If he wants something, he wants something. He has to get it. He's really small. And then she always says, like, I don't know where he got this from. Thing is, she's the most stubborn person I know. So obviously he'll be stubborn. It's a miracle that, it's a miracle. It'll be a miracle if he's not stubborn. So yeah, because of that, I feel like children, right, they learn what they see. I don't know if you've seen this or not, there was an experiment done, the video's on YouTube if you're interested. Babies, okay, 2 babies were kept in 2 rooms and their mother or their primary caretaker were in the room with them, okay, and then snakes, non-venomous snakes, were put in front of the babies, okay. So the babies immediately look at their mother or their primary caretaker. And in one room, the mother acted the mother was smiling. Okay, mother didn't show any signs of fear or anything. And so the baby started playing with the snake. But in the other room, the baby looked up at the mother, and the mother got really scared. The mother showed a lot of concern on her face. The baby immediately started crying. And also, I think this is something that people do. If a child falls, you don't say, oh, nothing happened. And then you make them get up, right? Because if you get scared, then they'll also start crying. So just like that, especially during their teenage years, they look at how you react to situations as well. So let's say you had a bad day at work or you had an issue with a friend. How you react to it, that issue is how they'll also react to issues when they also have to face it. So they learn. All right. So that's something that, if you want your child to be an empathetic person, you have to model empathetic behavior. You have to show them that, okay, this is how you can react. Taking a step back. If you're angry, let's say you get angry in a situation. They've really made you angry, but take a step back and then think, if I get angry right now, what I want to say will not be communicated to my child, so I'm not going to get angry, and then come back to the situation and talk in a calm manner. Then they'll also learn that, okay, I don't need to be angry for my words to be, for what I want to be communicated. All right, they'll also understand that. I don't need to get angry for someone to hear me. Okay? So modeling empathetic behavior is very important. And another incredibly important aspect of creating proper communication with your child is emotional regulation. So, if you're emotional regulation, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. If you're really angry, like I said, take a step back, evaluate the situation. Is there a point of you getting angry? If there is not, don't get angry. Because then that'll teach your child as well to, think, okay, I don't need to get angry for someone to hear me or for my, feelings to be validated. So that's what they learn. And now, okay, now has everyone gotten the grounding techniques paper? Okay, all right. Now I've given you homework. See, your children are usually the ones that get homework. Now I'm giving you homework. So there's, I think the first page that's there is the Navigating Teen Minds is a questionnaire, okay? So in that questionnaire, there are a lot of introspective questions for you to assess what kind of a parent you are. Okay, I believe there's one question that says, how do I react when my child makes a mistake? See, now what I need you to do is evaluate how you react to your child. And then after writing it down, if you think, oh, maybe I should not be reacting to my child that way. Maybe I can be a better parent to make sure that my child also sees that, getting angry is not an option, right? So the point of this questionnaire is for you to evaluate how you parent and how much you know your child. I think one of the first questions is, what is your child's biggest strengths, right? So if you can answer that, and then maybe check with your child. Okay, you can ask them, what do you think is your biggest strength? And see if you got it right. You can assess yourself. Huh? Yeah. Yeah, have a discussion with the child about it, right? So that is what that questionnaire is for. Now, at the end of that questionnaire, there are a bunch of questions, explorative questions that you can ask your child to initiate deep and meaningful conversation with them at the end. Yeah? So this is kind of questions that, you can ask it randomly. I'm not saying create a, environment for it. These are questions you can keep in your mind to start random, meaningful conversations with them. Show an interest in their lives. I feel like when I was a teenager, if my mother asked me, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I feel like I would have been really happy. Because that's her showing a real interest in, and belief in my hopes and dreams, right? Because when you ask them that question, they think, oh, she actually believes that I can make this decision for myself, right? So I feel like these questions that I've given you will really help create meaningful conversations with your children. Now that's the first one. And then we have the parent-child connection worksheet. Now that is a fun activity that you can do with your child, okay? The other one is just for you. That's just homework only for you. This one is an activity that you can do with your child. Both of you can do it separately and then compare your answers. It'll be like a fun thing to do. Now, coming to the grounding techniques. Now, when you're really overwhelmed, you or your child, see, this is something that you can also practice. It's a very cliche dialogue. Practice makes perfect, but it works. That's why it's cliche. So the more you practice these grounding techniques, right? That's when you see it working. So especially if your child is someone who's really anxious, or you're someone who's really anxious, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique works wonders. Okay, but you have to sit in a calm environment, have something to drink, near you. Make sure that you really immerse yourself in that activity, and see, the point of it is to ground you. If you're really overwhelmed and you're really, overthinking a lot, for you or your child, this is something you can help them with. If you see them struggling, make them do one of these. You can stick it on your fridge or something, I don't know. Up to you. Okay, so these are some techniques that you can use to make sure that your child's mental health is also, that it can be handled, and yours as well. And I want to end my session with one thing. Please remember to appreciate yourselves. You're doing great, okay? The fact that you're here, like I said, is an amazing testament to the dedication that you guys have as parents. So learn to appreciate yourselves and learn to take care of yourselves. Make sure that you have people to talk to. Make sure that, you're sharing your emotions and your, emotional distress with people. Make sure that you're, taking care of yourself, okay? Because that's number one. The more you take care of yourself, the more you'll be able to take care of others around you, right? All right then, thank you so much. I hope, all the information helped everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Nasma. I know that you have enjoyed it and taken back some valuable points. So now we're open for discussion, questions, Q&A. You can ask any of the speakers here, including our principal, Ms. Rachel, ma'am. We have counselors here. So if you have any question that you would like to ask at this moment, the stage is all yours. Anything. You might have parental doubts. You might have questions regarding maybe your children or maybe someone else's child. Maybe what you can do as a parent. I know they have spoken really well right now, but if any of you would like to ask any question, please.
Hi, this counseling, is this, mainly for the students, right? Is it also open for the parents also?
So Rachel ma'am has answered. She said it's open to parents also. But I'll add a little bit more. According to CBSE, our counselors are very qualified, but we do not do clinical intervention. So IB system is different. IB has a beautiful system of its own. But according to CBSE, we do not do clinical intervention. We do other methodologies, but we work closely. If at all there's a need for clinical intervention, we will refer and we will tell the parent. The parents, we're always there to support you. Feel free to reach out. Like how Maria ma'am spoke about, journaling techniques, how Nasma gave grounding techniques. We will help you reflect more also on parenting or anything that you're going or struggling with. But if we feel that you might need extra help, we will definitely refer or suggest something. But we're there for you. You can always approach us. Yeah.
And how do we access that? Is it in the school or is it through phone or how is that?
You can reach out to your child's class teacher and ask them to connect you to the relevant counselor. Because we have different counselors for different sections. So your child's class teacher will connect you to the correct person. Is there a way how IB works with this?
Right away, write an email, right away to the counselor and get in touch.
Okay. So for the IB system, you can write directly to the counselors. You guys want to raise your hands? So they're the 3 counselors for the IB section. You can write directly to them and get in touch. Any more questions? By clinical intervention, so if usually children, when we speak about anxiety, they might undergo something like social anxiety, being shy, or lacking self-esteem. And these things you can see when, like how Nasma mentioned, there's loss of appetite, constant stomach pains, vomiting when you eat food, you don't want to go, and then you're losing sleep. But then, when you see a lot of these persisting, we help the child with grounding techniques, we help with breathing, we help them address anything that is troubling them, if there's a friendship conflict, lack of self-esteem. But then, if we know there's something deeper, like sometimes you might have to take medication, sometimes you might need more help than just that. So that's where we will be referring. Sure, ma'am.
If I can add on to that, sometimes, for example, if it is a cold or a cough, sometimes it helps with diet alone. Yeah? So at home, what can be done with remedy and help, we do it at home. So, and sometimes you need to go to a doctor. Correct. So whatever at home for a cold and a cough can be done at home, we do. Just like that, whatever can be done with the help of a counselor in school, we do. therapies, counseling sessions. You know, we talk to them, we counsel them, individual counseling sessions, group counseling sessions, all that we do. But we cannot go beyond that. If the child needs to meet for further help, medication, all that we can't. So if we think the child needs further help, then we speak to the parent, ask the parent to take them to a medical practitioner.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, just on, I think, and I can sit down and talk. Right? I think mainly the question to Maria, I believe, because she talked beautifully about various issues with the social media, especially, right? I mean, and that's really one thing which is very, very much concerning for me in this for teenagers. And I see that they are very much, getting addicted to that, social media, especially Insta, right? So, I mean, we are not given her Insta account, but I mean, she's using, mother's account and chatting with other friends. I think some of our friends have their own Insta and all. And you mentioned that, some kind of control has to be given. But I think maybe is there anything more, I mean, that we can talk about? How much control that we need to do on the social media? And I think I heard about this going through this Insta reels and everything. Too much is mentally not good, right? I mean, like going through this is having a mental effect on them.
Yes.
So is there anything that you can add on that?
See, the thing to what extent you can control, okay? Now, keep in mind, our children are very smart. If they want to do something, they will do it, right? So the idea of how can I build a good connection, okay, to make sure that they don't try to go behind my back. So if you are going to give your child Instagram page, all right, you can say, if you feel it's your right to have it because now you're 14 or something, all right, or even 12 or what have you, it depends on your rules and regulations at home. You can say, I will give you that, but in return, okay, I need to also, I don't want to say the word control because they don't like it, monitor it, coach it, okay? So the rule at home as a parent, okay, you can have your devices, but if I want to ask you questions or if we have doubts, we have to be open. So there should be no password hidden from me. Okay, certain time, and also for example, the younger one has no SIM card. The eldest has, because now he's in an age where they go for competitions and all that. The younger has no SIM card. That means he's only connected to Wi-Fi at home. All right, so this is another way to control it. So you always work with them. You have rights and responsibilities. I give you this in return. This is what is expected from you. Because if you put it as a rule, no, 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 they will be creative to find different ways. Another thing, to control social media, according to social emotional recent research, okay? Because there's a lot of use of tabs and laptops and phones, even for their studies. Especially that was after COVID, right? They do a lot of work. So according to research, if you want to balance this, at least make sure that your child is exercising any hobby, any sport for 1 hour daily. That can balance, okay? So you think about it, 1 hour of exercise, that is a way to control the screen time as much as possible. Engage them, keep them busy. Let them go to sports, let them go to activities, after school activities. Let them discover their talents and spend time. The more you keep them busy, the less they will use their devices. And you say, devices allowed, but first let's finish the homework. All right? Let them go play outside. Let them go and play with their friends. Let friends come home and ensure that they are engaged physically in an activity of sport of their own. Piano, music, dance. Make sure they have a hobby. Let them discover it. Let them try out till they discover their passion. This is a way to control social media, but trust me, at a certain age, you will not be able to take their devices. Now my children are still at an age where I can ground them by taking devices. I know that this will not continue. My child, who's 14, he told me one time, and it hit me so bad. He said, okay, thank you, you grounded me, you took my devices. I'm now 14. In 4 years, I'll be out. This is what he said. It hurt me. Like, I am a mother, I'm a trainer, I do all that, but I also learn because I'm also parenting him for the first time ever. Doesn't come with a manual, right? So this is how we learn. It hit me. I did not react, but I reflected and noticed that, yes, he's right. So this is not working with him anymore. All right, so maybe more open conversations, but this is one way.
Just one more thing.
Yes,
on that.
please. Yes.
Is that like, when we actually give this, social media kind of accounts to them, or is it okay to actually look at their accounts, monitor
You can
them?
put it as an
Is it okay?
agreement. You can
right?
agreement, okay, that your devices are linked together. Okay, that is the best thing, especially if your child still does not have the device, or you're giving the Instagram, you are in a very good position to say, I'll give it to you, but we have to have connected for your own safety. Always talk about and give examples of how things can go bad, so they can understand. Because this generation with orders, they don't work. It doesn't work. But if you're still to introduce, you're lucky, because you can put this as a condition. Yes.
If I could add something. Yeah. So the school has a social media policy, so it's there in the diary. So please be aware that children are not supposed to engage in anything with the school's logo in it. So I'm just saying it here on this platform. And coming back to social media, there are some apps for downtime, right? But again, there has to be an agreement right from the start. So at 8 o'clock, everything gets locked automatically on their phones. So there are apps. There's one called Super. The iPhones have an app. The Androids also have an app, and it's called the downtime. So the Wi-Fi and everything gets disengaged automatically. But again, it has to be done as an agreement, because it's their responsibility again, and otherwise they will rebel. It cannot be something new that you're like instilling again. And since one thing, like Ms. Maria said, there's a limit to how much you can control. But what you can do is you can guide them on how to use it. So the school is taking it seriously. We have a curriculum, and we're covering a component called social media, where we talk about case studies which are relevant to them. Like it can include, making friends online, or, your friends hung out and you could not go, they put up a photo, so how would you handle it? Because at various emotions children feel. Would you continue stalking them? Will you go out for a walk? Will you talk to another friend? Will you go talk to an adult? These are situations they feel, and it's important we have open conversations. So you can talk about your situations and give them a space so that they can talk also, and what kind of circumstances or issues they're having. All right. Anything else?
My name is Sadia. I have 3 kids in choice, grades 9, 4, and 1 in kindergarten. So mine is low. Yeah, so this is mainly about peer pressure. I think we've all been following the news, and we're all concerned about what's happening. And one of the things that stood out in those posts was the language that the children were using. And I genuinely don't believe that those kids realize the negative attachment that those words had, or the history that comes with it, or any of that. And the thing with language is, you can take any word and turn it into something negative, right? If you use it enough times. Like I can use candy, and I can say I had a candy day, or you're such a candy. And if I use it enough times, eventually it becomes a bad word. And then we reach a point where we can't use some words without flinching, or I cannot say it in this setting. So it's the intent behind that word, and it's the kindness that comes, that should be there with everything that we say. But the problem is, these days, especially I think with the boys, if they want to show empathy, it's taken as weakness by the friends. And I think, that's something that, what can we as a community of parents of this generation, what can we do to popularize kindness for these kids? For them to be able to, that showing kindness is actually something positive. Because what's the point of us being here, of this life, if we cannot be kind to each other, if we can't be, grateful and share what we have with each other? So how do we popularize it to these kids who are exposed to this kind of a, environment where they feel that showing kindness, showing weakness, showing empathy is not popular?
It's a very relevant question. I would also ask the others to join in. So I would say, while you're raising your child, build on their self-esteem, build on them feeling secure about who they are, so they do not have to need any validation from peers. They can, make sure your values are communicated, when they're small itself, they know your values. Practice them, embody them, show empathy. The best way to teach any skill is to model it. So empathy, kindness, have open conversations about it. So there are, you can take them to any place to sensitize them, have conversations, take them to an orphanage. So these skills are taught, sensitize them right from a young age. And they don't have to be embarrassed of doing something nice. They don't have to be embarrassed of not joining a group of bullies. They don't have to be embarrassed for not joining somebody and putting someone down, or, doing something. They don't have to bunk with the others, So they have to feel secure about who they are. And if parents make them feel secure right from a short age, they're not likely to get swayed by friends. So focus on their self-esteem, focus on, give importance to them, and keep telling them that, talk about, now at this stage, talk about peer pressure, tell them about being true to who they are. And that's with, peer pressure. And the second part about empathy, I would say there are a lot of outlets. Best way is to model it, join them, include them.
I will add to that also, like model it. This is the best thing. Now, I'll give an example about our students, okay? I had a assembly, teachers here, a couple of days, Monday, right? And we emphasized on the caring concept as a learner profile anyway that is embedded in the curriculum. And we emphasized on the fact that if you see something wrong and you do not say or tell or seek help, you become part of what is happening. All right? I gave an example of a childhood friend that I lost, okay, because of a bully, and you're talking about so many years ago. Okay, this is not something new in schools. Maybe we did not have social media to talk about it, but it wasn't on the news, okay? Who got bullied and ended in a very tragical way, all right? So I was telling them, if someone sees something not right and we are quiet, we are part of it, okay? And you don't have to, and we talked about the new word that they use, snitch. Okay, I'm not a snitch, I'm not a snitch. We also emphasize on nothing has to do with being a snitch, and there's always a way to tell someone and confide in them and make it confidential without even having to show or tell that but when you see something wrong, you become responsible. As a responsible citizen, you have to tell that there is something not right. And we are getting from the children that. Sometimes it's too much what they shared, like it's not a very concerning thing, but we listen and we show that, yes, you did the right thing. We make sure we don't say that who said it. Through our counselors, they observe lessons, they go and they make it as if they're also their own findings. All right, so we also in the trainings, our trainings for the 3 choice schools, we train teachers to be more vigilant. All right, so when they see something, they have to reach out, even if they have it only as a feeling. This is part of the teacher training academy. This is part of the training we do, that when we see something, when we sense something that is not right, someone is feeling not right, a behavior that is changing, that they have to reach out to the concerned people, counseling department, and also note it. So this is something that we do. But talking about empathy and modeling it, like what Hannah said, all right? Be very mindful in what you talk about and how you talk to your friends or family in front of your children. Okay? So do not judge people. Okay? You can be talking with your sister about a wedding you've attended, and you can be judging or criticizing, right? This is not showing that you are caring. So very simple things that we are not aware of, because when you're with your family or your sister or your mother or your friend, you tend to talk about this or criticize or just, judge, right? You know that new trend, we listen but we don't judge? Yeah, we can also implement it at home. We listen but we don't judge, okay? So when you have also guests over or families, if you are also going through tough times with your spouse at home, which is something that happens. It's not like it's a taboo. Some families are going through issues. Some families are breaking apart. And this is all part of life. How you even handle this is role modeling it. Okay? Especially if at home you're not 100% comfortable or something is not happening, or if you're not with one another, if you're separated, if you're divorced, all that, make sure that when you're talking in front of your children, you're always talking positively about your partner or ex-partner or all that. Because that is how you role model it, okay? Even if you fight in front of them, okay? Make sure that they not only see the fight, they also see how you fix it, all right? So be more aware of these things, because usually kids see parents arguing, but then they don't see the other beautiful part of it. Okay? So fix things up in front of them. Don't judge other people in front of them. Don't talk about each other badly in front of them, because nothing can break a child like that. And even if it's something that is already done, okay, you feel that there has been a damage, okay, courts were involved or something like that, it is never too late to fix it. It is never too late to say, you bring your child and be the bigger person and say, you know what, I was not right. I was going through a lot of hard time, okay, when that was happening. I've reflected and I've realized that I did not do justice. Okay, make sure that both of you look good in front of your kids, no matter what is happening. And it's never too late. And when you make a mistake, please say sorry. If you yell or say a bad word to them or anything, please say sorry. Say, you know what, I should not have told you so. I should not have said so. All right? This is how you teach them empathy. All right? I'm caring. You should know I love you. I should not have said so. It means the world to them, and you only become bigger in their eyes. All right? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Marian. Thank you, Ms. Hannah. I think you've got your answer from both of them in the most beautiful manner. Just to add on, we lived in an age, I think, where we had the backing of faith, the backing of religion, beautiful movies where we had beautiful lessons learned, and literature where values were very high. Right now, none of this exists, sadly. So, and times are turbulent on the family front, and unfortunately, it is not as smooth sailing as it ought to be. But we need to find a way out for our children. Like Ms. Maria said, empathy is a word. And we can do it because our children are precious. With those words, we need to do it. It is not that difficult. We only need to just think for a while and be a role model. 1. 2, get our children involved. It all starts with attitude. And if we role model, be the role model and change our attitude for the better, everything else will fall in place. If we have the willingness to change our attitude, the skills will follow, the knowledge will follow, everything else will follow. But if we are, not willing to change our attitude, nothing will fall in place. You get your children involved in social activities, that 1 hour of physical activity. You go out and be there with them, play with them, take them out. That's required, all right? Get them involved in a community service. Nothing will work. They not only become involved in that service, they will know what life is. No better learning than that. In Tiruvalla, there was this place, it's run by a sister, very close to the Tiruvalla Choice School, where I don't know whether it was learning for me. There is, you can't call it an orphanage. It's an institution run where children are abandoned at hospitals. Children who are disfigured and born without limbs, without eyes, children who are born, defective, are abandoned at hospitals. And hospitals call up this institution. And these sisters come, pick up these children, and they are looked after. They are named and are looked after. You should visit this place once, at least once in your life. You will know how blessed we are. And if our children visit this place once, they will know what life is. And if they serve in places like this, it's a little harsh on them. So let's begin with some place which goes lighter on them. Again, we are selfish here. You see what I'm coming to? We'd rather take them to off-dages or something which goes light on them. But I think we need to get them involved so that they know what life is. We are blessed in so many ways, but let's show them what life is. Get them involved. And involvement in such a way that they will know what empathy is. Us speaking the word will not make a change. Once they know what the meaning of the word is, like ma'am said, if we role model it, that will set the tone. And I think it's that role models that are not there anymore, the value system that failed to exist. And I think the fact that so many of you are here today, and if we partner, if we set examples, we can make a change. The attitude will start. And if we can start with a bit of gratitude, we'll set the ball rolling. And I think we can do it together. Thank you.
Hi, I'm a new parent to the IB family here. Me and my husband both are speech therapists. We are from United States. We work as therapists in a school system there. So there we have something called Fun Friday, where they practice caught caring, CAUGHT, or kindness tree, where the fourth Friday, they pick up the students and they announce, kids who kind of did some nice, good things, to the other staff or friends, or, somebody can nominate. So I can nominate Ishya for kind of, going and talking to a friend, when the friend was kind of in a, moment. And then the friend whom Ishya spoke to has to go acknowledge Ishya. This is an example I'm giving. So you guys have to kind of start, training. And then maybe gratitude jar, in every class or, every division. And then pick up and read to them, like, hey, somebody can, it could be anonymous. And then they can kind of say, hey, this child, A did this to the B, or, staff noticed, and, B kind of said something to A. So those things can kind of enforce empathy.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Since she spoke, because they joined us last week, okay, her son today went on a community service. They cleaned the beach in Fort Kochi. And their class also painted the walls. So we will share the pictures with everyone. That is also something that we're so proud of, because he joined only last week, and today I saw his pictures and all. He was painting. I did not meet them after they came because I was here, but I was looking through. So, and the suggestions you've given us are wonderful that we can implement. Thank you so much for sharing.
My son studies in grade 9. Just want to take the opportunity of thanking everybody, Rachel ma'am and the entire team. Wonderful session. I've been going through a lot of emotional turmoil as a parent for the past few weeks, and while I was going through this session also, I was quite overwhelmed. So pardon me if my voice shakes. But then post this session, I'm going out much calmer, thanks to everything that I've listened to. I'm taking away a lot of things, a lot of insights, which I'll try to implement. I'm sure all you parents have also been going through this. And we all react in different ways, and things are not sinking in very easily to each of us. Having said that, I feel we should give due credit and respect to the kids, right? When I look back 30 years, 40 years, when I was their age, we were quite carefree. We didn't have to bother so much. There wasn't so much of worries. We had a gang of friends, and we had our innocence. And I think our innocence lasted till we graduated from college. We were very innocent. But unfortunately, this generation has grown up and matured way before they are supposed to mature, right? Thanks to so many things that are happening around them, social media and whatever we all know. But I think at the end of it, we should give them that respect, that they are taking all these things, they are trying to live this world, they are trying to navigate and swim around in this world. So I think as parents, we should also give that credit to them and support them. When you were all thinking, I was reflecting. Sometimes I feel my son is much more mature than me. When I burst out and I lose my cool, like you were saying, he's the one telling me, I know what your next sentence is going to be. So, am I so predictable that a teenager can tell me how, as a parent in 40s, he can tell me what my next sentence is going to be, and actually that's true. If he wouldn't have stopped me, I would have rattled away all those 5-6 sentences. So that way I feel, I have a mature kid. Whatever mischiefs they do, whatever social media they use, whatever they do, I think I'll respect him even more, going forward when I go back home. So I feel, and one more thing, way back with our parents, we had this gap. We would never talk back to our parents. What they said was the rule, was the golden rule. We would never talk back to them and put our word across or something. Things have changed now, like Rachel ma'am said. Family dynamics are all different. So earlier when my parents were going through hardships or financial or professional, whatever, we never came to know anything. All that was within them. But now the family dynamics are such that if husband and wife fight, it's in front of the children. And the neighbors. And the relatives. And it's on social media and everything. And just an example. So I'm saying everything is happening in front of the children. So they are assimilating everything. So my point is, let's respect them a little more. That's my takeaway.
Thank you. Very deep thoughts, very deep words. I just want to add something. When you spoke about respecting children, that's when they feel respected, they're ready to do a lot of things. Compliance is easier. And it's very important for them that they listen to, that they feel heard. Just to understand kids a little bit more, I'm just saying from my experience with working with teens, they imagine that there is this audience watching. When they become self-aware as they grow, when they start developing an identity, when they're exploring, in their head or in their subconscious, they imagine this imaginary audience watching them. There's this negative self-talk in their minds that's influencing them. So I'm just saying this so that we understand, the struggles that they're going through or where they come from. That's one area. And, when, with regard to us being hurt about certain words that they say or about some fights, I'm saying this again to empathize, so we understand how to address this better. Children look up to their parents from childhood like they're perfect. They're not capable of getting hurt. They can never get hurt. So, it's news to them, as in it's later on that they realize parents also get hurt. They also have feelings. So it's important that, you have these conversations, have the open conversations if something makes you feel bad. So one, you have it with them. Two, they also know how to speak about it.
Okay. Thank you, Hannah. All right, any other questions or comments? Yes.
Just wanted to add a point. When we say no to children, if we don't give them options as solutions, they would not know what to do. So let's say, for example, you say, don't use social media. We are now in a social setup where they are mostly alone at home. Parents are working, we are busy, we don't have the time for them. Maybe they are single children. In most families, we are like 1 or 2 children. So if they don't have options, then they don't know what to do. So you could, like ma'am said, give them the option of pursue a hobby, try to be in a, if you are too busy, try to be in a place where, maybe an apartment where they can find friends of their own age. If you're in a huge bungalow, you have a compound wall, they can't go out, and you are busy, what are you expecting your child to do? They will be on social media. So when there is a no, I feel it is very important that you give them options to choose from, which will be a positive solution for them instead of pushing them into a path which is not good. Another thing, I've not done a lot of research on this, but I read this somewhere. I think from experience I can understand that if we are on social media and just say our child is just constantly nagging us for something, okay, we get irritated, right? We are like, oh, now I have to stop watching this movie and then go and, cook something for him. That's the same thing they are going through because it is a fantasy world and the light, the animation, the way the eyes are drawn and all is in a way that is made to be addictive. So if they start watching cartoon, they can watch for hours because that's how it is meant to be. So the light, the fast-paced frames, okay? So the processing is also like, it is addictive. So the thing is, when you just yell at them and just take it off, they are jolted back into real life and they're disoriented. That's when they start screaming and shouting, why are you taking it from me? Wow, what is this? And all those things. So the strategy they say is, you sit with them and distract them by talking for 1 or 2 minutes. Show interest in what they are doing. Tell them, oh, what are you watching? Are you playing something? Is it nice? What is it that makes you interested in this and all that? So you're slowly easing them, bridging from the real to real life, and then oh yeah, you remember the agreement, we decided that we will watch only for an hour. It's an hour, so let's stop watching and then take it. So if you just snatch it from them, obviously in teenage they are rebellious, they want to shout and scream, and also getting back into a world disoriented makes it difficult for their brain also to comprehend, and they don't know how to respond. And adding a point to what ma'am said with regard to usage of words, there's a child who asked me, shit is shit. Why is it a bad word? Yes. So that's what ma'am also said. If 10 times you use candy word as a bad word or in a bad context, children will immediately associate that as a bad word. So they're like, this word means something. It has a proper meaning. Then how come it is a bad word? So I said, and also nowadays children, they are like happy, sad, excited, anything it is shit. Even if they are excited, oh shit, man, oh, that's so great. You know, that person scored 100, it's a sixer. So irrespective of the task they are doing or the emotion they are feeling, they have very few words, which means they are not reading. They don't have the vocabulary to express their feeling. So one thing that you could do is, you say, I understand that you are excited, yes. So don't yell at them for using that word immediately. You could say, what is the emotion you're feeling that you use that word? Can you try to identify a word in any language we speak, your native tongue, mother, Malayalam or English, which would help you to express that emotion instead of using that bad word or taboo word. Yes, because when they are small, we tell them, this is a bad word, don't say, don't say, don't say. But when it reaches a stage, we can no longer say, don't say. They will not comply. So we need to, again, provide options. So happy also, you have different words to express it. Different levels of happiness, you have different beautiful words in English, even in Malayalam. So help them to explore more words, and reading will help to get them away from social media also. So it will solve both the things. Yes, express their feelings creatively using words, and also help to keep them away from social media. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you all for coming here. Due to time constraints, we'll have to end this here, but we'll be having a part 2, right, ma'am? We'll need more of this. I know a lot of you have a lot of doubts, a lot of points to add on, and we will keep a special session maybe in Choice House or something. Rachel, ma'am, maybe we could do that? Yes. So your responses, your feedback shows how much this event was a success. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank each one of you, because your presence here shows how much you value your child and how much you value what how your child has to be. And you want to support them, and we really value that. I would like to take this opportunity to firstly thank our founder, Mr. Jose Thomas. Can we all, although he's not here, we'll just, I want to acknowledge his presence right now. Can we just give him a round loud of applause? Because it's not easy. I don't think there's any other school with this many counselors and a person. He's a visionary who has given a lot of importance to mental health. So I would also like to take this opportunity to thank our dear principal. It's like, it's okay. And Maria ma'am and Hannah ma'am, definitely, I'm not going to tell a lot more. I'll be coming to that. They are our leaders, and they are powerful ladies. I think I know this is very informal, but they are our leaders who have really helped us and shaped even us as teachers and counselors to lead a better way of handling the kids. So thank you. Can we give a round loud of applause for them as well? Loud round of applause. Not last but not the least, definitely Nasma ma'am. She is our senior school counselor, and she has worked, I think, all of us, but definitely she has worked for the past couple of days tirelessly. She's not slept. I know that personally. So can we give her a loud round of applause as well? I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the Wellbeing Department. We have 12 counselors, 12 definitely, CBSE and IB together. We work to make your children have a better life so that they have someone to talk to. In our busy schedule, when parents don't have time, it's very normal, it's okay. But even if you don't have much time, we are there for them. So if you have any queries, if you have any concerns regarding your children, please do approach us. We are there for them 24/7. Yes, and this is our the well-being team's Gmail account. So if you have any CBSE, even parents of IB, you can send an email. We will be forwarding it to the counselors of the IB department. And lastly, if any of you have not filled in the attendance sheet, please do fill it. We have counselors there as well.
Sorry, see, the reason we're taking your emails again is to make sure that whoever attended will get resources as well. I'm going to send online resources as well to make sure that, you keep getting more resources like even after the session. So that's why we're taking the email. So make sure that you've written. Has everyone written? Yes? All right, perfect.
Okay, so not taking much more time. Thank you all. Thank you so much.